Hey, so some people were asking for some exercises for your wrist, okay? And a lot of times what we're realizing is that the problems in our wrists are actually stemming from problems in our elbows, kind of problems from our shoulders and our neck and etc. So I'm going to kind of throw in a few little things that you can do all together, and hopefully you can see that it helps you out. So let's start with the wrist. Starting with the wrist, coming on to your hands and knees. Okay, now if you bring your hands closer to your knees, it's going to be less of a stretch. Take your hands further away from your knees, it's going to be a deeper stretch, so kind of figure out where you need to go for this, all right? And it's simply to spin your hand out and have your fingers go back. Okay, feel that stretch here through the wrist and the forearm, so it's going back, back, forward, forward. So just going back and forth here. Again, closer to your knees, it's going to be less of a stretch. If you come further away from the knees, it's going to be more of a stretch. So figure out what you need to do to feel it. Remember with stretching, you're not looking to go and give it 110%. And now, in one of my other videos, I was sharing with you that I have a wide carrying angle. I hyperextend my elbows. So I am actually keeping my elbows bent as I do this. If I were to straighten, I know that just freaks people out, but that would just overstretch it. So, and then I'm not getting that stretch here in the wrist when I straighten the elbows. So I'm keeping them bent. So again, you have to decide what fits best for your body. So after doing that a few times, spin one hand, and now just shift your weight forward and back. Same thing, easy range of motion, pain-free range of motion. And you know, if you want to take it even deeper, you can lift up and go to like a downward dog. Feel that. Keep in mind that anytime you're doing any weight-bearing activities, that you want to make sure that you have that solid foundation. So if I straighten my elbow, that's not going to be solid foundation. You can kind of see how that my elbow is. So right there, that is bent for me, but it's straight, versus what feels straight is this, okay? So same thing, work within your range of motion, okay? Feel that, and then release that, and then take the back of your hand to the floor, okay? Spread the fingers apart. Take your other hand and gently press down, and then take your elbow and start to roll the eye of the elbow, this part right here, eye of the elbow, forward. And again, so I'm on this like funky gym floor on carpeting. It might feel a little softer. Feel free to grab a mat. Okay, so just gently pressing down here to feel that stretch in the back of my hand, back of my wrist. And slowly release. And then I like to squeeze the wrist. Okay, and then open and close the hands. Right. Make a fist, squeeze really, really tight. It's almost like a little tourniquet action. Squeeze tight, tight, tight. And then slowly release. Allow the blood flow to go back. Good, open and close. Good, maybe even swing the arm forward and back. Allow it to completely relax. All right, other side. Spin the hand out away from you. Figure out how close, wherever you need to feel that stretch. Feel that right through here. And you get a little forward and back movement, whatever feels good. Okay. Same thing, whenever you're doing any weight bearing, I'm pushing down pretty strongly through my hand so I can feel that stretch. So anytime I'm doing any weight bearing activity, I'm going to set myself up for a solid foundation. So I don't want to hyperextend this. Okay, line up your bones. And then after that, slowly release. Okay. Take the fingers in, and you're pressing down right here in this area. You're kind of making this little fan mudra. Gently press down. Roll the eye of the elbow, bring it forward. Okay. And just lean, gently press down. Feel that stretch in the back of your hand, back of your wrist. Same thing, just finding that spot that feels good for you. And then releasing that. same thing, grab your wrist, okay, squeeze and open and close the fist, squeeze the wrist, now squeeze your fist, squeeze tight, 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 and then slowly release and allow the blood flow to go back. And then same thing, kind of like just swing out the shoulder, whatever feels good. Like I said, so many times our issues, our pain is here, but the problem is up here, or here. So wherever you're having your pain or your problem area, think of the joints above and below as well. So think of the joints, you know, above here, maybe even one joint higher. See if that makes a difference and see if you notice anything from those body parts. Now, take the back of your hands to the floor and then roll your fingers in. So same thing, I'm pressing down firmly against the back of my hands here just so I can feel that stretch in the back of my wrist. Roll the fingers in. All right. Okay, so when it comes to stretching through here, working through the elbow area, this area, what I have found to work best for me is a gentle massage. Okay, so massaging those muscles of the forearm too. Okay, getting both sides to make sure these muscles don't. So I'll grab it and then I'll kind of turn the wrist. So any massage techniques you can do with the forearm. Okay, and then for the shoulder. All right. So for the shoulder, the easiest is if you have a block, all right, and bringing your head down to the block. So the taller the block, the easier this will be. The action is just reaching your arms forward and lifting your arms up. So two different ways. Here's one. Reach the arms forward, okay, and then just lifting up and down. So just alternating, lifting one arm and then the other. And then you can take it down lower, work from here, do the same thing. And if you want to go lower, if you take your knees apart, okay, see if you can move this out of the way, sink your hips back to your heels, and just get this nice stretch here, reaching forward while I'm pulling my hips back. If you push down with one hand and then lift the other arm up, okay, that can make a difference. Again, head up is going to be easier, head down. It's going to be a little bit more challenging. I'm not going to lie, it's a lot more challenging, right? Just do what you can. And then here's the fun part. Now we want to roll, so we want to externally rotate at the shoulder, roll the eye of the elbow up, and go palms up. Now the tendency is to want to lift up like this, okay, and here. So again, grabbing a block, you can find this to be a little bit more helpful for you. Give yourself some room to play with. Flip the palms up, roll the eye of the elbow up, shoulders down, and then maybe just do one arm 5 times or so, and then the other arm. And while I'm lifting one arm up, I'm pushing the other arm down. I'm trying to keep the shoulders down. Right, now eventually you want to see if you can do this without the block, bringing your head down to the floor. Okay, figuring out what you need to do with your knees to make sure that this is tolerable. If you need to come up, by all means, if your knees bother you, just bring yourself up and do the same thing here, and you can go from this point. Okay, find that position that works best for you. Now, coming down, hips to your heels, child's pose, and reaching your arms and lifting up from here. A lot of people, we don't have this range of motion. Okay? It's not a common range of motion that we really do. Like I said, we get down here and we want to like wing our elbow up and arm up. So see what you can do to keep it down and lift up. And then switch, other side. See that I'm still limited on this side, so I'm still working through it. However, I'm able to lift my arms where I wasn't able to do that a year ago. So these are some of the things that I've been doing to help me out for the shoulders. There's one more I want to show you, and this is a great one. I got this one from Rob Drew, physical therapist in Huxley, Iowa. Lying on your side. All right, you need a pillow. Grab a pillow and then grabbing a towel. So if you put that towel, give yourself a little extra little height here, and give yourself that pillow to work on here. So taking your forearm and bring it perpendicular to the floor. Okay, so going, here's your external rotation here, seeing how far you can come down, and then going the other direction. That's this other direction that tends to be a challenge, so just gently pressing down, okay, and then release, and again pressing down, and release. Now make sure you don't get caught too far rolling back. You want to see if you can get yourself to where your hips are perpendicular to the floor as well. All right, so just gently press down, good, and then release, gently press, okay, and release, finding that spot, pressing down, and release, good, just gentle resistance, and release. You don't have to force it all the way. We have enough forces against us in life. All right, just working within your range of motion. And then after that, to stretch that out, okay, reaching the arm forward, and now simply roll on to your belly, and finding that stretch here in the shoulder, okay? Figure out where you need to go with this. Okay, now, and once you've gotten that, okay, taking the other hand behind. Now, this is where I am extremely limited. This hand goes to your shoulder. Now, I used to be able to get my hands together and touch from here, so I'm nowhere close now. So, who knows, maybe with some more practice, I'll get closer. Okay, so, but see where you are as far as being able to, one, can you get your elbow down to the floor, let alone get your hand up to meet the other hand. See what you can do, all right? And again, don't worry about if you can or can't do it, just know where you are. Feel that stretch. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. It's nice when you're on your belly because you can tell if you're actually breathing from your belly because your belly will press against the floor. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then slowly release. And then bring yourself up. All right. Okay, kind of give yourself a little shimmy, whatever feels good for you. All right, and then doing the same thing on the other side. All right, so flip it over. See how quickly you can flip over? Sometimes that's the challenge, right? I've got some clients who said there's no flipping left in my life. See what you can do to flip over. All right, so grab your towel here, put it underneath your arm, okay, your tricep. Okay, you've got yourself stacked your hip bones perpendicular to the floor if you need that extra block or pillow. Okay, making forearm perpendicular to the floor, going back and forth, seeing where you are, how far back, here and here you can go. All right. Okay, and then just gently press down, and then release. Again, gently press down and release. Gentle push. Noticing where you feel that stretch back into the shoulder, trying to get through the rotator cuff, down and up. Good. Make sure you're just breathing naturally. All right, and then from there, okay, stretching through that shoulder, breathing all the way. Take that arm straight out, okay, and now simply just roll onto your belly. See if you can get your chest to the floor here and feel that stretch in the shoulder. You might have to play with, like it's going to feel different if you're here versus out here. So see what it takes to get yourself to feel that stretch in the shoulder. Okay. I mean, there's some people even do this shoulder as well. You can work both sides and go opposite directions. Same thing on this side. See where you are. Can you take your hand to your back and bring your elbow down to the floor? Yeah, it's a little Pilates approach. Okay. let alone can you get your hand up to in between your shoulder blades, and then can you get your hand to this hand? Can you get your hands to touch? Okay. So like I said, I used to be able to do this, and then in 2017 I was diagnosed with a frozen shoulder. I didn't like that diagnosis, so instead of saying I have a frozen shoulder when people would ask me what's wrong, I started saying I have a thawing shoulder. So I'm thawing my shoulder out. I do not want a frozen shoulder. Okay. It's almost like, when you say you have a bad knee or a bad back, there's no point in shaming ourselves. It's kind of like bad knee. Okay? We don't want that. We want a good knee. Healing knee, strong knee. All right, slowly release. All right, same thing, kind of get a little movement here, whatever feels good. All right, so those are a few things for your wrist and your shoulders. I hope that helps you out. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Have a great day. Bye.